Hello everyone, I am Vugarty Musada, and I am going to talk about potential and applications of nuclear energy in Azerbaijan. Nuclear energy is the energy that is released from the nucleus of an atom, as it's evident from the term nuclear. Generally, nuclear energy is used in such countries for several reasons. It can be used for different industrial applications, such as food preservation, water resources, medicine, sterilization, dating, space missions, and electricity production. Food irradiation means that raw foods are exposed to high levels of gamma radiation, which kills bacteria and other harmful organisms without affecting the nutritional value of food itself or leaving any residue. Isotope hydrology techniques enable accurate tracing and measurement of the extent of underground water resources. Radioisotopes are an essential part of medical diagnostic procedures. Gamma emissions can be used for the sterilization of medical supplies like cotton, bandages, gloves, etc. Post-fission and fusion of nuclear power is actively used in providing power for the missions in space. The energy released by the fusion that takes place in a nuclear power plant is converted and generated into electricity. Mostly, nuclear energy can be used to create electricity, but it must first be released from the atom. Two, two kinds of atomic reactions create nuclear energy. In nuclear fusion, atoms join together, and in nuclear fission, atoms are split apart. However, nuclear power plants do not have the capability to produce energy from nuclear fusion safely and reliably. So, nuclear reactors use pellets of the element uranium as fuel to produce nuclear fission. The nuclear reactor forces the atoms of uranium to break apart. As they split, the atoms release tiny particles called fission products. Fission products cause fission products cause other uranium atoms to split, starting a chain reaction. The energy released from this chain reaction creates heat. The heat created by nuclear fission forms a cooling agent, usually water. The cooling agent produces steam that turns turbines. The turbines drive generators or engines that create electricity. Nuclear energy can provide clean, pollution-free power with no greenhouse gas emissions. However, nuclear reactors to produce radioactive waste, like used uranium pellets. This waste can be extremely toxic and stays radioactive for thousands of years. The government regulates how these materials are disposed. It is well known that there are no nuclear vehicles and technology as well as nuclear materials on the territory of the Republic of Azerbaijan. A large quantity of radioactive waste is stored at several locations, including Azerbaijan's Central Radioactive Waste Management Facility, the Baku Radioactive Waste. The nuclear facility will be situated on a plot of government-owned land 15 kilometers north of the capital, Baku. My speech ends here. Thank you for your attention. And now I am giving the stage to my groupmate Bashir.
Thanks, Ugar, for this information. I am Bashir Hatamov. Now I will talk about the disadvantages of nuclear energy. Let's see what disadvantages are with an outline. First, building nuclear power creates financial problems. Second, nuclear raises concern about safety and security. And finally, environmental impact. Yes, this is expensive to build and it charges from rare elements. The cost of nuclear energy is often divided into fixed cost and operating cost. Major costs include site preparation, engineering, production, construction, commissioning, and financing. Operating costs include fuel costs, maintenance, decommissioning, and waste disposal. The capital cost of nuclear power plants are much higher than for energy sources such as coal and natural gas. And the annual cost of repaying the initial investment is substantially higher than the annual operating cost. This is because nuclear power plants are technically complex and must satisfy strict licensing and design requirements. The design and construction of a new nuclear power plant requires many highly qualified specialists and often takes many years, compounding financing costs which can become significant. Design changes or lawsuits can cause delays that further increase the financial charge, which in some cases exceeds the actual construction costs. Secondly, nuclear energy raises concern about safety and security. It can be result of accident and some disease. Human error and natural disaster can lead to dangerous and costly accidents. The 1986 Chernobyl disaster in Ukraine led to deaths of 30 employees in the initial explosion and has had a variety of negative health effects on thousands across Russia and Eastern Europe. Hundreds of thousands were relocated, millions of dollars spent, and the radiation-related deaths are being evaluated to this day. Cancer risk among the population living in proximity to Chernobyl, especially among the children, rose significantly in the years after the accident. In addition to the significant risk of cancer associated with fallout from nuclear disaster, studies also show increased risk for those who reside near a nuclear power plant, especially for childhood cancers such as leukemia. Workers in the nuclear industry are also exposed to higher than normal levels of radiation and as a result are at a higher risk of death from cancer. And radioactive waste. A major environmental concern related to nuclear power is the creation of radioactive waste, such as uranium mill, tailings, spent reactor fuel, and other radioactive waste. These materials can remain radioactive and dangerous to human health for thousands of years. Radioactive wastes are subject to special regulations that govern their handling, transportation, storage, and disposal to protect human health and the government. National security. Nuclear power plants are a potential target for terrorist operations. For example, an attack could cause major explosions, putting population centers at risk, as well ejecting dangerous radioactive materials into the atmosphere and surrounding region. Nuclear research facilities, uranium enrichment plants, and uranium mines are also potentially at risk for attacks that could cause widespread contamination with radioactive materials. Finally, environmental impacts. As written, carbon dioxide, low level of radiation, and emit level of radiation. Nuclear power has been called a clean source of energy because the power plants do not release carbon dioxide. While this is true, it is deceiving. Nuclear power plants may not emit carbon dioxide during the operations, but high amounts of carbon dioxide are emitted in activities related to building and running the plants. Nuclear power plants are uranium as fuel. The process of mining uranium releases high amounts of carbon dioxide into the environment. Carbon dioxide is also released into the environment when new nuclear power plants are built. Finally, the transport of radioactive waste also causes carbon dioxide emissions. low level of radiation. Nuclear power plants constantly emit low level of radiation into the environment. There is a differing opinion among scientists over the effects caused by constant low level of radiation. Long-term exposure to low level radiation has been shown to damage plants and also people. Now I would like to give a place for my group mate Ulvi.
Thank you, Bashir, for a great presentation. I want to talk about the advantages of nuclear energy. As an energy source, nuclear energy offers many advantages. While some energy sources are dependent upon weather conditions, like solar and wind power, nuclear energy has no such constraints. It doesn't matter if the wind isn't blowing or if the day is cloudy. Nuclear power plants are essentially unaffected by external climatic factors and create predictable and steady energy output. A nuclear energy plant in full swing operation can produce energy non-stop for an entire year, which allows for a good return on investment because there is no delay in energy production. Like fossil fuels, the uranium used to supply nuclear power plants is in limited supply. However, our uranium reserves are estimated to last another 80 years, whereas fossil fuels have a much more limited lifespan. If we continue consuming fossil fuels and keep increasing our consumption as the world population grows, we are estimated to run out of oil by 2052, gas in 2060, and coal by 2088. Of course, there are more fossil fuel discoveries we have yet to make, but they are fewer and farther between than ever and will eventually run out. Switching to uranium might give us the extra time we need to find better and cleaner renewable energy resources. Plus, some countries like India, China, and Russia are already working towards using the greener and more abundant thorium to power nuclear reactors. If we switch to thorium, we will have even longer than 80 years of fuel available. However, if scientists are able to turn nuclear fusion into a reality, we will theoretically never run out of electricity ever again. Nuclear fission releases much greater amounts of energy than simply burning fossil fuels like gas, oil, or coal. How much more efficient? Nuclear fission is nearly 8,000 times more efficient at producing energy than traditional fossil fuels. That's a considerable amount of energy density. Because nuclear energy is more efficient, it requires less fuel to power the plant, and therefore creates less waste as well. As we know, a large part of Azerbaijan's energy needs are met by hydropower plants, and many settlements, including the capital city, benefit from these hydropower plants. Given the growing population and number of settlements, the demand for energy is increasing and the load on hydropower plants is increasing. In particular, the Mingechevir hydroelectric power station is an example. The accident in 2018 caused complications in many places, especially in the subway and hospitals. The cause for the accident was overload. If any nuclear power plant operates in the country, this load will be reduced and such cases will be prevented. Also, energy production can have a positive impact on the economy of our country. In addition to meeting its energy needs, our country can also generate significant revenues from the sales to energy-hungry countries. This can directly contribute to the development of the country's economy and the creation of more reliable and profitable energy sources in the future. It will also be possible to change the living standards of the population in a positive way with their income. Over the next 50 years, mankind will consume more energy than it has been consumed in an entire preceding history. Early predictions about the growth of the energy consumption and development of the new power technologies have not come true. The level of consumption is growing much faster, while new sources of energy will become widely accessible at affordable price no later than 2030. Lack of fossil fuels is becoming more relevant than ever. The opportunities of constructing hydroelectric power stations is also quite limited. As a conclusion, we should not forget about activities aimed to combating greenhouse gases, which impose restrictions on the burning of oil, gas, and coal at the thermal power plant. The active development of nuclear power, one of the youngest and fastest growing sectors of the global economy, may be the solution. More and more countries now come to understand the need to start developing peaceful nuclear energy. Thank you for your attention. That was all about our presentation.